It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
Hello and welcome. He's Gary McNamara. I'm Eric Harley. Let's move into a Thursday. Gary, how are you?
Well, really is amazing.
Yeah?
Amazing the times we live in. As I liked yesterday, I saw this meme out there. The difference between the college protest now and the college protest of the late 60s, early 70s is the music was a lot better back then. That's one of the reasons they're full of rage, because their music sucks.
Yeah, that's it. That's the problem. Yeah.
Jeez.
Look, it is a problem. It's not the problem. Yeah. Wow.
It's not the problem.
It's not the problem. Let's be clear. You know what? Maybe if we played some OJs and, some Bee Gees. I'm just throwing artists out.
Tin soldiers and Biden's army.
Yeah. Maybe if we played them some Strawberry Alarm Clock. Maybe they'd feel better.
And let me tell you, that one guy playing guitar and Strawberry Alarm Clock, Incense and Peppermints, yeah, that psychedelic band, he's going to end up in Skinnerd and coming up with the riff for Sweet Home Alabama. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's going to happen.
Right,
sure that is.
Right. And that other guy from the pop band, his brother's going to start a band called AC/DC, and they'll be just...
Oh!
What was George in? George Young was in...
he was in the Easy Beats.
Easy Beats, yeah.
And then he had a new wave band.
Yeah.
Yeah,
he did.
Flash in the Pan.
Yeah. But
George was as they said, it was George that was the creator of the sound of AC/DC.
Right on. Yeah.
You know who else has it's not bad.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Noon from Herman's Hermit.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, a friend of mine, Willie Sullivan plays guitar for him.
Right.
And he said one day, and I think he put a song on, and I found it. I found the album. The Peter Noon had a new wave album.
Really?
And it wasn't bad. I was like, wow, this got to be kidding me. This isn't bad at all.
In the 80s, this would have been the late 80s, I had a program director walk in the studio, and he had a CD. He said, look, put the CD in, and when you come out after the break at the top of the hour or the next break, play this. And then after you just do the transition, boom, which is basically the station call letters, and it's already, it's not me talking, and then out of the break, and then boom, you play the song, come out of it. Hey, what'd you think? Give us a call. People were like, yeah, that was great. Donny Osmond, Soldier of Love. When we talked to Donny Osmond when Dick Clark died.
Yeah, we did.
We talked about that briefly, and it was like, because radio stations were like, not sure we can say Donny Osmond. But no, it was a huge hit, So, yeah, that would be cool.
The other thing is, I cannot be pro-terrorist.
No.
No. And let me tell you why, though. Because I saw the itinerary of what was going on at Columbia. Like, they had an itinerary.
Right, yeah.
8 a.m. breakfast. 9 a.m. Marxist chants.
Right. Yeah,
I'm like, okay, our breakfast I could handle. Well, the Marxist chants might be interesting. I might disagree with it.
Right, yeah.
Oh, wait a minute. Drum circle? No, sorry. Not going to do a drum circle. I'm out.
Do I get to do a solo? I play the drums, so if I get to do a solo, I'm in. It's going to take a minute.
Oh, my God.
Drum circle.
And the one meme I saw yesterday when they're looking at the menu, the UCLA, the menu, what they're looking for food. Hot food for lunch, important. Vegan food, gluten-free food, ice. No packaged food, no coffee, no bagels.
Of course, no bagels.
I mean, that was like, it's like no bagels. Like, oh, yeah, we figured that.
Of course. Yeah, no bagels.
No bagels.
Wow. And it's not because they're low carb on a low carb diet. That's not the reason.
No, you're exactly right. It's just. Oh.
Can you imagine Hamas looking in? You know, I'm not sure if Hamas gets the morning paper delivered or how that works, but can you imagine Hamas, what they're thinking? They're looking down on this going, oh my gosh, we can get these people to do anything. We can get these people to do anything. These radicals will do anything for. They're carrying so much political weight right now in the States. Well, they're carrying noise is what they're carrying. I can't wait till November 5th. I want to see the math pan out on all this. Because if it doesn't go well, I'm going to tell you right now, I already have the RV. It'll be a lot like Woody Harrelson in the movie 2012. I'm not saying I'm going to leave the country. I'm just going to plan differently. That's all I'm saying. If we tolerate this crap,
I know.
if we allow this to go on, it's on us. End it. End it.
Well, we're going to be following what's going on at UCLA because it looks like another night of chaos.
Yep.
Well, you saw UT Dallas.
Mm-hmm.
They cleared those protests right away.
Yeah.
Saw that. I turned on the TV. I had to go to the dentist, a bunch of things yesterday. I get home, I flick on the TV. I'm like, you got to be kidding me here. Okay, it didn't last long.
Right, yeah.
Just ridiculous.
It's just so stupid. It really is. And it is children. The more you come at them, the louder they cry. They have no idea what Hamas is all about. Because if they do, then they're the enemy. Full stop.
You know, I was seeing that, I guess Robert Kraft was on with Hannity last night, the owner of, and he said, this is frightening. This is frightening Americans.
Yeah.
Well, you and I knew it was there.
Yeah.
Look, if you were paying attention, you knew this was there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You knew if you were paying any type of attention and understand that the Democrats have institutionalized systemic racism with their identity politics, and this was the next logical step to go. I mean, logical in their insanity of racism and bigotry.
Right, yeah.
I'm not saying it's logical what they're doing. It's not but I'm saying if you're looking at, okay, what would their next step be? Well, let's just include Jews, since identity politics is judging people by groups and not individuals. Well, did you see Tim Scott was out there and got called Uncle Tom and everything else, and it was like, yeah.
No, I mean, right now they are more proud of their bigotry and racism. These radical leftists. We've been telling you this for years. This is how they think. This is who they are. This is who they are. It's why they want to paint the other side. It's why they want to depict the other side as bigots. They wanted to get away with it. Now they don't even care anymore. They don't even care.
Well, I mean, that's in a way the thought process. Look, I don't want anybody to get hurt.
No.
I don't want anybody to get killed.
No.
But the fact is, one of the things that you and I always used to talk about is the Democratic Party used to come, move to the middle, and then they would always pretend. Biden's trying to do it right now. Biden's trying to pretend I'm playing the middle here. It was embarrassing yesterday with Karine Jean-Pierre. Well, why doesn't he say something? He has through the statements. No, why doesn't he go on camera and say something?
Right.
Well, and it's like the excuse is horrible. They're panicking right now.
Yeah.
They don't believe
that
they're afraid to send him out to do anything because they have no idea what insanity is going to come out of his mouth. And think about this. This is insanity on top of insanity, because what they're actually doing, if you look at the border, if you look at the bigotry of the identity politics of the Democratic Party, which Biden fully embraces. We know that. We saw that. The best example is the Georgia election law, where he said it was Jim Crow on steroids and Jim Crow 2.0, and was in agreement with moving Major League Baseball out of there, all based on a lie, all based on a complete lie, and only done to make one race hate another race based on the lie that a law that was passed was Jim Crow.
Yeah.
That's what white Aryan nation leaders do. That's what KKK leaders do.
Yep.
The president is a hate mongerer. Every Democrat listening right now knows that. You know it. Because there's no other reason that he would have done what he did there. There's no other reason he would lie about Israel. By the way, it was actually got mind blank here. What's her name from Fox News and the Federalist? She came out yesterday, and I just got mind blank here. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah. Hemingway.
Yeah, Molly Hemingway.
Yeah.
She came out and she goes, look, the same. This is just an extension of BLM. BLM was a lie about cops. This is a lie about Israel.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing. It's a lie about Israel.
Yep.
It's a lie about Jews,
Yep.
just like Black Lives Matter was a lie about police departments being systemically racist to hunt down and kill blacks, all based on lies. And they're just jumping on anything that's a lie. The left. By the way, I just thought about it since I said Molly Hemingway, Megyn Kelly. You notice that did you notice that these protesters are all unattractive?
Oh, my gosh. That was so funny. They're all ugly.
No, unattractive.
Oh, yeah.
Unattractive and homely.
Oh.
And there's a difference between unattractive and ugly.
Is there?
Yes. Now,
Is there really?
You had the same mindset that I did. There are always exceptions to the rules. Maybe you can say liberal protesters are unattractive and radio talk show hosts.
Well, I wrote you back, and I thought, is she calling me? And I said, hey, is she calling me a protester?
That's the first thought I had, too. Like,
What the hell, dude?
now, but I figured out what she was saying. If you're always angry, if you have an entitlement...
No, that's it. That's very unattractive.
Yes, if you're always angry, if you always claim that you're a victim, if you don't want to get a job...
Yeah.
If you want somebody else to take care of your responsibility, if you want somebody else to be responsible for you, you're a helpless, angry person who is always just lashing out. That isn't attractive.
No, it's not.
And you know how you know this? Every one of us. Guys, for example, we know incredibly hot women out there that we will meet and we'll say, oh, my gosh, if I ever had the opportunity... And you sit there and you meet them and you get to know them and you're like, please get away from me. I never want to see you again. And all of a sudden your attraction to them is completely gone. Any type of physical characteristic that you might find attractive disappears and you go, what a posterior lobe this person is.
Yeah.
Get away from me, you ugly human being.
Plus, her voice sounds like Moe from The Simpsons, so it's not going to work. Hey, welcome to Flaming Moe's. It's not. I can't deal with that. It's not.
I have to tell you, this goes back a while back when I first met Independent Bob. And we were out someplace one time, and this beautiful woman, I mean, she would always be with a group of people out there. And, I mean, if 10 is the limit, she was 9.999. Incredible. And so, but she hung around a group of people that we knew, but we never actually talked to her.
Right.
One time we got the opportunity to talk to her, and it was like, I think it was Bob said, hey, how you doing? My name's Bob. Nice to meet you, Bob. My name is... I mean, the voice was just, it was like that. It was like, you could, it was almost as if out of her mouth, it came the explosion of Mount St. Helens that blew you back like 10 feet going, whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But very, very nice woman, just an extremely irritating voice.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I understand what Megyn Kelly was saying completely. It's like, well, yeah, when you're angry all the time, when you're full of rage.
No, that's highly unattractive.
Very unattractive. So,
yeah.
And that's what you're.
And for us ugly people, we're just ugly. We're not angry.
Well, we're very attractive, in the sense of creating theater of the mind. Those guys are okay. I don't have to look at them. I just hear them on the radio.
Well, and you want to stay away from opening lines like, "Excuse me, ma'am, does this rag smell like chloroform to you?"
Yeah, I would stick away from. Yeah, I'd
I'm
probably
saying
stay away
don't
from
do that. To be clear, those are things you don't want to do.
Right.
If you're ugly, you've really got to work harder at being nice.
Right.
Maybe a little funny. But don't use that one.
You're right. And if you first meet them, look, I love stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. My favorite is Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
You stay away from those things.
You want to go back to my place and binge some Cosby. Is that even, that may not be legal to say on the radio. I'm not even sure. Binge some Cosby. I don't even know if you can get away with that. I guess we'll find out.
By the way, Tom Cotton had the menu that Bill Malutian put out for the UCLA camp, vegan and gluten food. And Tom Cotton goes, no bagels because they're too Jewish. And he goes, and why do Marxists these days always seem to be vegan and allergic to gluten?
Right. And that'd be funny if they came back and said, no, it's not because they're Jewish. It's because they have too much gluten.
866-90 Red Eye.
This report is brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology, is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance. When it comes to truck maintenance, sometimes it's the little things that can cause the most trouble, like cabin air filters. When properly serviced, cabin air filters provide a barrier between pollutants and harmful particles outside and your HVAC system. If you don't pay attention to them, however, this small part can turn into big trouble in no time. Breathe easy when you know which warning signs could indicate that your cabin air filters are clogged. A dirty, musty smell throughout the entire cab may indicate your cabin air filters are oversaturated and need to be replaced.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. I said Tim Scott, and that's because we're so used to talking about Tim Scott being called a race traitor, and over the years, over the decades,
gosh,
he's just been over and over again called an Uncle Tom and everything else. This is actually Byron Donalds, who was. Here it is. I want to play just a short clip of him talking to some of the protesters yesterday. Here we go.
How much is APAC paying you, you bastard?
That being said,
how much is APAC paying you, you race traitor?
Race traitor, really?
Yeah. Uncle Tom.
There you go.
Wow.
And it's like, that's where identity politics come from.
Yep.
There you go. So, like I said, this is what happens, and we will repeat this over and over again. If you're a long-time listener to the show, you may get sick of it, but when the opposition keeps promoting the same thing over and over again, when you have the slam dunk defense and the slam dunk offense, you go with it over and over again.
Yep.
Identity politics, judging people as a group and not an individual, which has been institutionalized and systemic in the Democratic Party, you simply take one step further and you say Jews.
Yep.
And that's what's happening in the Democratic Party. Very quickly here, that we'll cover more of it, but it looks like you've got some of the independent reporters there on the UCLA campus saying that this thing could go all night from what they monitor from.
Yeah, Cam Higbee on X was saying that he's been following their messaging back and forth, between the protesters, and so they're saying, rest up. There may be some time yet, and so it's kind of been a little bit of a lull for the last hour at least. But we're following this going on UCLA's campus right now.
Get our Red Eye Radio app in your app store. Then listen at your convenience. Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Here's some audio from Anthony Cabessa, who was at UCLA. He goes, the current scene outside the pro-Palestine encampment, hundreds gathered waiting for police to move in. Tensions remain high. Small group of pro-Israel folks are present, and he and a few other reporters that are there have stated that they basically got was it Anthony Cabessa or was it the Cam Higby? One of them got here it is. UCLA. It appears plans have changed for the protesters. They now plan on holding off police all night. Now this is from 2 hours ago.
Yeah.
All right, folks. Here's the plan. If you're taking on risk, hold the barricades, but do not push. We can hold them all night. If they fire tear gas, use buckets or cones to smother the canister. Keep an eye out for each other. We'll all be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Just like at Columbia,
they're going to be given all the time they need.
Right. They don't believe that anything is going to happen. To them. I was reading the story about the prosecutor down in Austin that is again thinking, well, we're not going to be prosecuting any of these people that did anything at University of Texas at Austin.
Right. And you and I were wondering about Columbia and if any of those, and if there would be any referrals going to Alvin Bragg's office there in New York, and talking about the mindset, the shared mindset. And we're not going to do anything. We're not going to bring any charges. Look at.
Well, we don't know if that's going to happen yet. We're speculating.
Yeah.
That if
no, I mean for in Austin.
In Austin, yes.
Right. That's what I was referring to.
Yeah.
And the whole thing too is, we don't even know if Alvin Bragg's in New York is going to get that and any of that. We're not sure if that will go to him or not. But you look at the parallels. What you would look for in a situation like this in a major election season, and this is an unprecedented election season, presidential election season. You basically have two incumbents. And this generation has never seen that. In modern years, this is very unique. Where's the liberal media calling for the president to step to the podium and disavow these protesters? Well, you're not going to get that because we already know. He needs to endorse them. He needs to endorse the people in Dearborn that were shouting death to America. He needs their vote. He needs the vote of anybody and everybody, especially young people who really don't care for him anymore, don't want him to be the guy. And he's working hard. If this were Trump, remember the whole Proud Boys thing? Are you going to disavow the Proud Boys? What's your message for the Proud? It's like, okay, yeah, stand down, whatever. I mean, I'm not affiliated with them. And they were relentless bulldogs for him. This president hasn't said a thing at the podium. It's just these statements that come out, and then his official surrogates, he issued a statement. Yeah, a piece of paper. Or a post on the website.
Just to have the story here, the Texas prosecutor seems disinclined to prosecute crimes apparently committed by pro-Hamas demonstrators at the University of Texas. Recently, in the last week or so, nearly 130 have been made in connection with pro-Hamas demonstrations at UT's Austin campus. Nearly 60 of those arrested occurred on April 24th alone. All of those cases were later dropped by Travis County prosecutors, who claim they did not have sufficient probable cause to proceed further. Then on Monday, 79 more pro-Hamas radicals were arrested, though whether any of those individuals had been arrested the previous week as well is unclear. Almost all face at least one count of criminal trespassing. One person has an additional charge of obstructing a highway or passageway, and another faces a charge of interfering with public duties. Of the 79 people arrested on campus that day, just 34 actually attended the school. The other 45 reportedly have no affiliation with the University of Texas whatsoever. Thus, external agitators may have hijacked these pro-Hamas demonstrations at UT, just as they have at Columbia University, according to New York City Mayor Eric Adams. However, Travis County Attorney Delia Garza seems affronted that the University of Texas and Republican Governor Greg Abbott expect her office to do something about it. It is not the role of the criminal justice system to jail people for conduct that has not yet occurred, nor is it the role of to assist the governor's office to suppress nonviolent and peaceful demonstrations. They weren't arrested for peaceful demonstrations.
No, they weren't.
Garza also seemingly complained that cases from the demonstrations have increased the prosecutor's workload.
Yeah.
That's the question. These liberal prosecutors in there, is it a combination of laziness and radicalism?
Well, in the age of quiet quitting, why not? Yeah.
Well, look, we don't want to prosecute. Look, we favor the criminal, but come on, if we got to prosecute, that's work. We don't want to work.
They're on board with the whole Bernie Sanders thing. They're wanting to do, I think, maybe 25 hours a week instead of 32. Just do 25. By the way, after taking 2 days off this week, I'm on board for that.
Cycling people in and out of jail on low-level charges and dwindling resources for the rest of the community will do very little to maintain public safety of our community. You encourage the radicals to come back and do it again if there's no consequences for their actions.
Right.
End of story.
Right.
Again, that's why we look at New York City and go, you had Eric Adams out there talking about, nobody takes the American flag and everything else. And it's like, law and order. It's like, shut up.
Well,
and look, I agree with him that I agree with him on what he said. I'm saying shut up because his behavior of the things that he has done when it comes to law enforcement didn't match the rhetoric from yesterday.
No, it didn't. No. He definitely does not walk the walk. Look, when they process these people out there in Austin, just make sure you drop them off at a local pharmacy so they can go in and, take just under $1,000 worth of goods off the shelf and not get prosecuted for that either. This is what we're facing, everybody. Mm-hmm. This is what we're facing. This is what we're dealing with. We can change it. These are elected officials making these choices, because they're allowed to, because the people that elected them allow it. And we can stop allowing it. This is insane.
By the way, the one guy I did like the best yesterday was this at UCLA? I'm not sure where it was. The guy, I know it was on the West Coast. Could have been at USC, but the guy that was screaming was he just over and over again. Get a job.
Yeah.
Get a job.
Yeah.
Get a job.
Right.
Get a job. And I had to, my one of my best friends, Jeff, who I've known since we were 8 years old. We used to be, we'd be in college driving around on a Friday night, and anybody standing on a corner, he'd just hang his head out the window. Get a job. Yeah. Get a job. Exactly. Get off the streets. We had no idea whether they had jobs or not.
Right.
They were out just like we were, probably on a Friday night. It didn't matter. Get a job.
Get a job.
Stop standing on the street corner and get a job. And they'd scream back at him. He goes, go get a job.
So a guy did my dad described it as a soft mugging in Colorado one time. My dad and my mom were used to RV. They, for like half the year, they'd be on the road. And they were in Colorado at a restaurant. And they come out, and they were in the back of the parking lot. Not many people back there. And Dad had a pretty good-sized truck to pull that RV. So they were in their truck, and he comes back, and a guy pops up around the truck and says, "Hey, give me your money." Now, he didn't brandish a weapon or anything. My dad, a career military law enforcement veteran of 2 foreign wars. My dad looks at him and says, "Get a job." And my mom said, I was so stunned, I couldn't say anything. I just got in the truck, and your dad didn't blink? He just stared the guy down, and the guy turned around and walked away. Like, if I could tell that guy anything today, I'd tell him, you made the right move. Walk away when it comes to my dad. It is this insanity that we've allowed, that the whole indoctrination. I was thinking about it again yesterday. We've been talking about this recently, about the young people that come out of, that are products of these universities. Not every one of them are radical, but here's the question. How do you know who is and who isn't, right? You're going to bring that radical behavior into, my company if I'm going to hire you when you graduate, that kind of thing. And I just wonder about the future of these campuses.
Yeah, we had, talked about the companies that are now saying, if you come from an Ivy League college now, if you come from Columbia, if you come from Harvard, we're now looking elsewhere. Did you see the new list of the new Ivy League schools that they're looking at, the ones that are actually producing people who can get jobs?
Yeah,
and
right.
Things and courses where they can actually get jobs. And I think Florida State was in the one of the top 10 or whatever. But it's they're saying, and there's a focus now as to, all right, what are you preparing people for?
Right.
And you can make the case, because of the courses that you're probably forced to take and the DEI, that the major goal of these colleges is to indoctrinate you into a hate mongerer.
Right.
Into hate and to bigotry and to racism. And it's nobody wants a part of it. And that's why I said, again, you cannot discount the fact that for the last 40 years, almost 40 years in this country, the Democrats have practiced identity politics. We've warned that this was going to happen.
We're not years.
Yes, we're not shocked by any of this. If you're a longtime listener to the show, we said we're the ones that really cracked down on identity politics. And in the last decade, when you had Democrats come out and say, we got to stop this, we always made note that the Democrats know what's going on inside of their party, and they're judging people by groups and not individuals.
Right.
And that's what racism is, when you say all groups are like this.
Right.
All blacks, well, they're not as intelligent as white people. Well, that mindset comes from what?
Bigotry.
Racism, bigotry.
Hatred.
I'm superior to them. So much of it comes from, as we have said before, jealousy, envy, rage, and a ton of other negative emotions that these people hold inside them. But it needs to be called out, and the Democratic Party needs to confront their racism with identity politics now, and Republicans need to be attacking rhetorically over and over again that it is the Democratic Party, because of identity politics, where racism has been institutionalized and is systemic.
You said it years ago. If we're tearing down statues, there's some statues and pictures there on Capitol Hill of Democrats. In fact, many of them. Take them off the wall. Be done.
Well, the Democratic
tear them down. The entire party has to change. You said that.
Right. As we said, if you're going to tear down all these statues, the Democratic Party has to go.
Yep.
Because there has been no institution greater in promoting slavery and Jim Crow than the Democratic Party.
Right. Not even close.
And so the fact that they're the ones that practice racism today in identity politics or critical race theory, and the misogyny of the radical transgender movement is no surprise to us, because their entire history is based on bigotry and racism.
Yep.
Tell us where we're wrong. And every Democrat listening right now knows that.
Yep.
866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. I love this meme. It shows a video at UCLA of the pro-Palestinian, people bowing to Allah, and it was like, good luck to the future historians studying why a bunch of purple-haired, non-binary atheists are bowing to Allah at UCLA.
That's funny. That is funny. They have no clue. These people are absolutely clueless. They have no idea. They have no idea. Because if they do, then I really want to have a conversation. But these people on these campuses, they're radicals, no doubt. But they're clueless.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. Tensions high at UCLA. Looking here, this is from ABC 7 in Los Angeles. Chris Christie, who is a reporter there, showing from the helicopter the resources that have been laid out by California law enforcement. And you see, a ton of police vehicles there, and you see buses.
All right. Yeah. Time to clear it out then. Yeah.
And what you and just going over some of Anthony Cabasa, who has been covering this. We've been following the videos he's been taking here since yesterday's show. This is a current scene outside the pro-Palestinian encampment. Hundreds gathered awaiting police to move in. Tensions remain high. Small group of pro-Israel folks present. That was 43 minutes ago. Then 21 minutes ago, charging up phones in my car as it's looking like it's going to be a long night. Just witnessed a black SUV and a white pickup truck drop off about a dozen people with ski masks and headed towards protest site. Not sure what to make of it. Then he puts out a call for coffee. Said it's going to be a long night.
Yeah.
And then he retweets the ABC 7 picture of all the resources lined up by California law enforcement. He says, my source with the LAPD says the encampment is going down tonight.
Yeah. All right.
So that's where we are right now. Let me just see if there's any update on this one. No, it's
and look, we've got there's a sizable crowd, and looking at all of the videos there, this is a sizable crowd. I don't know who they or how they decide who's getting on the bus and who's not. But you're going to need a lot of buses. This is a
who goes on the bus
crowd.
are the people they arrest.
Right. But that's my point, is I don't know how many of these individuals, again, who do you go for? How many of these are media, looky-loos, other students? And I guess you give them the countdown and say, okay, clear out. You've got 5 minutes. Everyone left after 5 minutes. We're taking you down. We're taking you in.
Well, it looks like that's what they did at UT Dallas yesterday, where they just said, okay,
here's your last chance.
You cannot do this, and that was taken down quite quickly.
Yeah.
It's like and here's the thing about all of this. Again, I know when I saw Robert Kraft, Americans are really scared about this. Well, you should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
Mr. Kraft, you shouldn't have been donating to Columbia. You should have understood about identity politics. You can't play stupid for decades as if when bigotry of the identity politics of the Democratic Party and these college campuses exist year in and year out, and then claim, where did this come from? Well, duh.
Yeah.
I'm Forrest Gump, but even I saw the meme. Even Forrest Gump
That was a meme.
Yeah, Forrest Gump said, I'm not a smart man, but I'm not as stupid to believe, in the Hamas protests.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's just and so the same. But you have right now the vast majority of Americans are against what's happening here, and we're talking about the polling showing 75 to 80%. But you have to understand. Well, then why is this going on? Why is this happening? And we go back again to a major political party practicing identity politics and racism and misogyny now with the transgender, radical transgender movement, over the last couple of decades. I mean, it's misogyny and it's racism. There's no other way to look at it. And that's why I keep saying over and over again, every Democrat knows it.
Yep. And for Mr. Kraft or anybody else who hasn't learned it yet, since October 7th, there's the radicals and there's everybody else. There's no middle ground.
Right.
Choose your side.
And the only reason you debate, Byron Donalds walked in and, he was called an Uncle Tom. He was called a race traitor and everything else. That's why you walk in. You're not going to have any type of discussion because, as we have stated before, as talk radio hosts, when we first got into this business, I know when I did because I got in a couple of years before you. Because I'm just a few. I'm just 1 or 2 years older.
Right.
When
you started, for example, radio was in black and white.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
Well, when Marconi and I would have some discussions as to the technology of radio and where it's going.
It was when you started. It was Morse code.
But when I got in is when identity politics really started. In 89, 90 is when you really start. You saw it come to the forefront, and so this isn't new. This is just the result of years of bigotry, racism, and now misogyny added to it of the Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And the reason that and the fact is, and that's why you've got Biden, they don't know what to do. As you know, because of the letters that was written officially by members of the White House staff and Democrat bureaucrats, they choose Hamas.
Yep.
Think about this. This president is absolutely paralyzed where he cannot come out and actually speak on it.
Yeah. No, I mean, seriously.
He can't speak on it because this is a core, maybe not of all Democrats, because you can't get to the 80% poll numbers of favorability towards Israel and Hamas if you've got the majority of Democratic voters, that believe that Hamas is the way to go. And that's why I continue to say over and over again, every Democrat listening knows it because they do. If you're listening to this show, you know where we come from, and you know the identity politics. This is not new, what we have discussed with identity politics and the misogyny of the radical transgender activist movement, and they're all combined here.
Yeah.
I mean, let me do Independent Bob from almost 2 weeks ago when I saw him at the golf party. These people, what's wrong with them LGBTQ people for Hamas? They'd execute them like that. Well, think about this, when you get to the point of people not even understanding what they're protesting, and I don't think this has ever happened in American politics before in protesting. The people that are protesting are defending the people that would murder them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And it's just, and so you go, well, how do we get to, you can't get to them. You can't, because as we have learned, we are no longer talk show hosts that debate the issues with the opposition because they have the what?
I said, that's over.
That's over because their truth is whatever they wish it to be at the moment. Mm-hmm. And if you can't start from that base of discussing the truth, there's no basis for argument. Now, We will tell you what we believe, but there's no debate with the other side. And with Byron Donalds going in, the only thing he got was called names and had to sit there and listen to the lies or the ignorance of the students who have no clue as to what's going on. But every issue out there, Eric, every single issue, the border, this isn't the border isn't complicated. EVs isn't complicated.
Right.
The grid isn't complicated. And they're nuts on every issue. And they're lying, defending every issue. And so it's just like you sit there at times, and we've been doing this for a long time. We love doing it, but there are times we just throw up our hands going, what do you do with people like this? What do you do with people like this that are so intellectually bankrupt, so lost, so and so involved in self-hatred? Because that has to be a part of it. If you can't have every student who claims they're LGBTQ promoting Hamas who doesn't know who Hamas is.
Right.
And it goes back to the thing, I think we played it last week, or maybe I was gone, the woman that was talking about abortion, and she goes, in fact, I shouldn't have been born. I shouldn't be here. It was wrong that I'm here. It's like, what the hell's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I mean, how do you argue with such logic? You can't argue. You just simply continue to promote the truth. And if you do get into the debate, it's simply to show the radicalism of the other side. That's why you do it.
Right.
You're not going to have a debate with them.
Right.
Because it's impossible to have a debate with them.
Right. I mean, you just there's no discussion whatsoever.
Think about this, how you hear every day, Israel genocide, Israel genocide. There is nobody making the case that Israel's committing a genocide.
No. No.
There's no evidence to support that at all. None.
Nope.
You had all the generals, in front of Congress. The Democrats wouldn't ask the question. Republicans had asked the question, is there a genocide going on? Democrats won't ask the question because they're afraid of losing. Think how insane this is, where you've got then the polling showing in the last week and more people coming aboard saying these people are nuts. 80% supporting Israel and the 20% supporting, Hamas out there. We've seen the ignorance, but the fact is, where you've never, I don't remember the last time you had an issue where the American public was the momentum was only moving one way in a particular issue, where you have landslide numbers, even in the majority of the Democratic Party, and the Democratic Party has to go, look, we got to soft sell what 80% believe, because if we lose the 20% that are pro-terrorist, we don't believe we can win an election. Think about that. If we don't abide by the people that are absolute anti-Semitic, racist, pro-terrorist, we cannot alienate them too much. So we've got to try to ride, this happy line here, this tightrope here. It's really an amazing time in politics, and the Democratic Party, by continuing to be the party of identity politics, is not going to grow stronger by it.
Well, the side that is proud now of their anti-Semitism has been calling the right Nazis for a long time.
Yeah. The ones that promote the eradication of Israel are calling the other side Nazis.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just, there's no way to describe it. Somebody wrote me yesterday, and I think we got a couple of things on X, too, that was like, what do you think about Trump speaking to the Libertarian Party? And it's like, well, I think it's a thing that the Libertarian Party are looking at and going, the left is insane and we need to unite. It's not necessarily that Donald Trump is a libertarian, because he's not.
Right.
Well, then again, I'm not sure he's not, because I don't know what a libertarian is in 2024. I haven't checked their latest platform.
The playbooks are all being rewritten.
But I think there's you look at it and there's a fear, and like I saw Robert Kraft, it's like, dude, Americans are scared. Well, you should have been, if you were scared now, you should have been scared back then. I'm not scared. I'm not shocked because I understand identity politics, and so do you, Eric.
This is not new to us. We saw it coming. We knew that this kind of hatred would rise to the top at some point and be the most vocal part of the left, and it is now. And, there are people on the left that don't agree with these radicals. And again, it goes back to what I said. After October 7th, radicals, and on the other side, everybody else. You just have to choose which side you're on.
The only question we have is what creates the mind of the radicals that we see today. How do you fall for the brainwashing and propaganda? How is it done? How do you take these minds that for some reason seem to have no critical thinking skills, cannot connect one dot to the other?
Well, everything was, we're talking generations now of indoctrination and not thinking for themselves. And higher education is not about education at all. It's about further indoctrinating these individuals and radicalizing them. And the problem is that when you show up with a bullhorn one day, you've got to show up with a bigger bullhorn the next day. So for the left, that was part of the indoctrination of these students, of young minds for generations. You shouldn't be surprised at all that it reached this point. This is your monster you created. This is what happens.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by FPPF, Fuel Power Max.
The IFTA tax program redistributes tax revenue to states based on your actual miles run. Thus, the truly cheapest fuel can only be found if you subtract federal and state taxes and state surcharges from the pump price to compare. The strategy means that you buy without regard for whether you are paying more at the pump in taxes. IFTA also considers state surcharges, which complicates the fuel buying strategy. Indiana, Kentucky, and Virginia have per gallon surcharges. Connecticut, Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon have per mile surcharges. While some owner-operators buy only enough fuel to get through surcharge states, this practice can backfire, depending on the actual cost of the fuel in each state. When comparing fuel prices, always remember, pump pride minus taxes equals the real fuel cost. Owner-Operator Business 101 is provided by Overdrive's Partners in Business program. Go to overdriveonline.com to the Partners in Business section of the website for more detail on this and many other topics.
Brought to you by Shell Rotella. With advanced synthetic technology is designed to help keep your rig running with more mileage and less maintenance.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara, keeping you informed about what's going on at UCLA. This from Anthony Cabessa from 4 minutes ago. As LAPD and riot gear approached an encampment entrance, protesters interlinked arms and sat down in hopes of stopping the police from entering. Police were forced to do a 180 and left as protesters cheered the successful blockade, which means the question is, what is the plan of the LAPD?
Right. Yeah. What are the directives here? Is this going to go back and forth all night? I mean, what do? You've brought in the buses. What's the next move now?
Yeah.
You give them, I don't know, more time? Not sure.
And that was from about 5 minutes ago.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll keep you updated on it. But that's the thing when you look at it. And I know people are like, how did this happen? How is this happening in our country? And like I said, we've been warning you about this for years.
Yeah, look,
and we were called, you guys are going down the slippery slope, and this isn't going to happen. and everything that we said would happen has happened. Everything.
Yep. And it's trying to figure out how radical minds work is it's honestly, it's futile, the effort. But it was always going to go in this direction. It was always going to end up at a place like this. I say end up. It's not over. I mean, I don't know what radicals do next. I don't know. Do they get on planes? Do they go over and help Hamas? Do they join in the fight? I don't know how much they mean it. I don't know if they know how much they actually mean it. So I don't know where the radical mind goes next. I don't know what they do next.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. You know, one thing that I think needs to be said in all these protests here, because you're hearing the narrative now that outside agitators are coming in and professionals and all this, but the spokespeople that I've seen are all students.
Yeah.
They're all students. These are all students that are the spokespeople that are out there speaking in favor. So they know. They're not stupid. They know that it's finance. I just expect the left to say, oh, these poor students that were manipulated by these outside agitators.
Yeah, right.
Well, no, that's not the case.
Nope.
And let's play this. This is where it becomes, because that's the thing. Well, this is simply against Israel. No, it's not.
No,
this is every liberal cause you could imagine. In fact, anti-Americanism being part of it. Let's go to the UCLA protest spokesperson yesterday. Here we go.
Yeah, I think it's more than divestment as well. I think given the fact that the University of California is founded on colonialism, it's inherently a violent institution. There needs to be an addressment of U.S. imperialism and its ties to the UC system and how it perpetuates war and violence abroad. Not only abroad, but also here, locally. We see this with the brutality, the police brutality that black and brown students face here at UCLA, Arab students, Muslim students, Palestinian students. And I myself have personally been faced those violences that the UC has perpetuated and continues to perpetuate. It's not just a means of divestment, it's a divestment from Zionism. Yeah.
And U.S. colonialism also.
Right.
I mean, she
Right.
doesn't even know where she's sitting there. She's talking about the United States, and she throws in Zionism at the end. It's like you're just throwing in words as you go along.
No, it's just rapid fire hatred, basically. Just throwing it out there in the very liberal, radical way that they do. But that's it. This shows you there is zero leadership in this whole thing.
Now, what she is saying is the extreme far left institution of UCLA and its management needs to go. Well, maybe she has a point. Now, she's attending it, but maybe all the liberal colleges need to go.
Well, I think right now what they should do is erase all the credits of, and we'll do it this way. Everyone who believes what she believes, she clearly does, then we'll erase all of your credits and you can go somewhere else.
Right, because you're a victim of the colonialism of the University of California.
You shouldn't take advantage of the colonialism that created this institution, because this is the advantage you would have is a degree to further yourself. And you shouldn't be furthering yourself as a result of colonialism. should you? Because that would be wrong.
They just don't make any sense.
We can do this all day.
I mean, it's just
Children.
It really is. You are dealing with spoiled brat children with an entitlement mentality who are absolutely delusional.
Seriously? I mean, the whole thing keeps repeating through my mind on the food thing. And I picture myself just like, let me volunteer here. I want to bring some school lunch trays, with a little carton of chocolate milk, some Jell-O, some really bad school food. Here you go. Here's your food. You're 3. You're a child. Quit your whining.
Reading here, Anthony Cabasa, I was able to get inside the pro-Palestinian encampment tonight. This video shows a complete inside layout, tents that include medical, food, and sleeping quarters, and members fortifying the makeshift perimeter barriers as police set to enter the area. And they talk about how during the day they built these barriers. They're making it way tougher for the police to do their jobs, which is why what you saw, for example, if you saw it on the national news, local news was covering it. I don't know if national news was. The protests at UT Dallas that they took down right away.
Yeah.
You don't give them a ton. This is sort of like the whole CHOP?
Yeah.
Chad CHOP?
Right.
Remember that?
Yeah.
You give them weeks and weeks and weeks to build something up, and then it's a nightmare to take it down.
Right. Or remember Occupy Wall Street? And in New York, and it was Bloomberg, right? He was mayor at the time, wasn't he? And he was saying, no, they can stay. As long as they're peaceful, they can stay because, they're camping out. And then Christmas comes around. It's getting closer to Christmas time. And New York has big tourism during Christmas. Like, all right, everybody out. Get out. I don't know what the play here is at UCLA. By the way, great work to Anthony Cabasa and all of those that have been Cam Higbee and the countless people who have been covering this stuff there on the ground at UCLA. We greatly appreciate it. Chris Christie, who's not that Chris Christie, he's at ABC7 there in California, who had been also contributing here, and again, countless journalists. But I will say Anthony Cabasa on his last post on X left something out because he said tents that include medical, food, and sleeping quarters. He forgot weed. I can almost smell it through my computer. I don't know what the next move is. By the way, this is important. You and I, yesterday on the coverage, we had said L.A. County Sheriff's Office was there. They may have been, but I also saw some uniforms, CHP, California Highway Patrol, that was also on site, and those uniforms look very similar to the L.A. County Sheriff's Office. So we're not sure how much that was inaccurate, and but certainly law enforcement yesterday, roughly 24 hours ago or so, showing up on the campus, and it was a concerted effort by local law enforcement, state law enforcement as well. But you see this. As Anthony Cabasa has this video, kind of behind-the-scenes video that he posted here a little while ago. And again, this is a lot of people. This is going to be a lot to clear out. And certainly they've done they've done the surveillance. They've seen it from the air. They know what they're dealing with. Law enforcement knows what they're dealing with.
Understand, though, these protesters, they hate Jews.
Mm-hmm.
They hate America.
Mm-hmm.
They hate Israel.
Mm-hmm.
They hate freedom. They hate themselves.
Mm-hmm.
The number of people that have confronted, I did see one yesterday, independent reporter out there saying, I don't know if there's a heterosexual male out here. He's like, and we keep going up and confronting the LGBTQ people that are here by the hundreds upon hundreds saying, don't you understand you would be executed immediately because you get blank stares back, like, what? What are you talking about?
Yeah. No, they don't. They're clueless.
Don't you? Do you even know what you're protesting and what you're advocating? You're advocating your own destruction.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just, you shake your head. And what I just wonder when this is going to blow up the Democratic Party. When is identity, because you're getting, we've talked about where on so many issues on the border, on EVs, on government spending. All these have finally hit reality.
Yeah.
And now you're seeing the reality of 40 years of the Democrats institutionalizing systemic racism inside their party and anti-Semitism and misogyny now. And you cannot, if you're not a political party that's uniting, and say this, because a few people have asked a question, about Trump speaking before the Libertarian Party. I think there's a uniting right now against the fear of what people see of the racism, the bigotry, the intolerance, the anarchy, the misogyny, everything that's coming out of, and what it has led to now with this insanity of pro-terrorism, genocide of Jews mindset that exists on the college campuses.
Yeah.
I think it's sort of uniting a ton of people on the opposition against it, saying, this isn't what we're about. Well, a lot of you that are Democrats have supported this. Even if you don't support this now, you supported what got us here. And you supported the paralyzed White House, where the president can't come out and say, this is wrong, Israel is right, the Jews are right, you're wrong, you're anti-Semitic, don't call the opposite side Nazis when you're promoting the genocide of Jews.
Right.
He can't say that because the Democratic Party is so immoral, is so evil, that they cannot go after the pro-terrorist side because they believe they need their vote in order to win elections. Democrats, I hope you understand that you belong to a party that if they can't get the pro-terrorist vote, they don't believe they can win. If they don't get the pro-Jew genocide vote, they can't win. If they can't get the pro-terrorist, pro-genocide, anti-American radical behind them, they don't believe they can win an election. That's where we are in 2024 with the Democrats.
Biden is endorsing the radicals.
Yep.
He's endorsing them. In the past, years ago, there would be a great calling in the media for him to disavow. And it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Where is the president walking up to a podium, not taking one question, making a simple statement? This kind of hatred won't be tolerated.
Yep. Can't do it.
Can't do it.
You might have.
You're in. Sorry.
They'll put out the statement that somebody else gives. They won't put him out there.
No.
Because they're afraid of losing the pro-terrorist, pro-genocide, anti-American radical of the Democratic Party that they believe is probably 15 to 20% of the voters for Democrats. I mean, that was the whole thing when, you and I, even the media was covering it. Well, they can't win Dearborn. They're afraid they can't win Michigan. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Why can't they?
Yeah, say it.
Because these are people that are pro-genocide of Jews, anti-Israel, and anti-American. And Biden needs the vote, and Democrats need the vote of the radical pro-terrorist, pro-genocide, anti-American demographic of the Democratic Party.
Yep.
Tell us where we're wrong. You can't.
And the media doesn't finish the sentence.
No, they don't finish the sentence.
They don't.
On it. They simply say, well, they can't win the vote there. Why can't they win the vote? What's the problem with the vote?
Right.
They won't lie about Israel. They won't be pro-genocide of Israel.
And by the way,
they won't be pro-genocide of Jews. They won't be anti-American.
And now you're seeing it, and it's been going on for a while, but now the protests are called the campus protests, the Columbia protests, the UCLA protests. You mean the pro-Hamas, pro-terrorist protest? You mean that one? Is that what you mean?
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. And we mentioned it, but I want to add something to it because I'm watching some of the aerials from Fox 11 in Los Angeles of the campus of UCLA and how bunkered in they are, and how the college itself and authorities have allowed this to happen, where the barricades now are extremely strong. You have made it so dangerous now for the LAPD police to go in there and do that.
Yeah.
Do what they have to do to clear it. I look at what the situation is now, and we look at what happened, for example, at UT Austin or even UT Dallas yesterday.
Yep.
Where they tried and they cleared it up right away.
Yep.
It's a lot easier when you're right in there and nobody has a chance to sit there for day upon day upon day and build barricades to keep police out.
Yep.
I mean, how the hell do you get these huge wood planks in there? Who's allowing this crap to happen?
Right.
And it's dangerous. You're making it so much more dangerous for the police out there. You're making it, and that's what the left does. They make it impossible for the police to do their job. And finally, when they say, okay, we got to call in the police, they put them in a much more deadlier situation.
Right.
Both sides.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You you give them the inch, they're going to take the mile every time. Yep. And they built a small city there at UCLA. Doesn't look like they're going anywhere tonight or this morning.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. Welcome and good morning. Thank you for being here. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Still looking here. Police declare an unlawful assembly now at UCLA.
Okay.
I'm sorry,
okay.
but that was just...
I guess that's part of the formal thing you have to go through and say, okay, right. And then at this point now, beyond that point, you're breaking the law.
Right. My laughter is, of course, based on the fact that
it just sounds so absurd.
It just became unlawful now.
Yeah, right, yeah. I mean, it just... Yeah, I hear ye.
Days after doing unlawful things, we are now going to declare it unlawful.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
It's like a comedy movie where they walk in and there's a bunch of bodies on the floor. I think we have a murder scene here. You think? Yeah.
I didn't see it as much yesterday. Maybe they got sick of doing it, but I didn't see as much yesterday as I did for the past week. We believe in free speech, but we don't believe in unlawful protesting and trespassing and vandalism. But we do believe in free speech, and you and I said that's like stating there was a bank robbery here today, and the bank robber came in with a gun and robbed these people. Now, we want you to know that we are for you going into the branch or the drive-through and behaving in a legal manner to do financial transactions with the bank.
Right. Go through what's legal and what's not legal.
Right.
Come on.
I just love that. But I do want to play this audio cut here from Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday, and this is the fact that they can't answer the question. They cannot answer the question, and this question was asked a total of 3 times by the time, was asked a couple of times, and then it was asked, they got back into it again, it was asked, and then this reporter from NBC said, well, you didn't actually answer the question.
Mm-hmm.
Here it is. And then she didn't answer again. He goes, but you didn't answer the question. And listen, they can't. And the question is, why isn't the president, why hasn't he come out and spoken about the protest at all since this has been going on for, what, 10 days now?
Yeah.
Nothing from the president.
Right.
Nothing.
Right.
Here we go. All right.
I wanted to follow up on a previous question that was asked, and respectfully, he didn't quite answer it. The question was, why hasn't the president been more forceful in talking about the protest? He talked about how he's talked about anti-Semitism, but specifically on the protest, why hasn't the president been more forceful on that?
And I hear the question, Gabe, but respectfully, the president has been no other president has spoken about anti-Semitism than this president.
But that's not the question. It's the protest.
And I'm answering it in the way that I believe is the best way to answer your question, which is
is not to answer the question. By the way, that's what I would have said if I was a reporter. Well, you're saying the best way to answer the question is to not answer the question.
Right.
Because that was 3 times. And I don't even want to play the rest of it because she just goes on to generically talk about how the president has fought anti-Semitism. That's not the question. Why can't he speak out now? Understand that Democrats are so scared of losing the pro-terrorist demographic of their party in this upcoming November election. That's why the president isn't speaking.
Yep.
In case members of the White House press corps haven't figured that out yet.
Yep. It's, look, especially in a re-election bid season, what you should be seeing is him walking to a podium. In fact, add on a little grandstanding. He's capable of that. We've seen him do it. I hereby disavow all of this, and you go through and then you walk out. It's not what you see here. A statement. Where's the president? You and I have been asking this question on a number of fronts. Back when Lloyd Austin, is he back at work yet? Do we know?
Oh yeah, I do. I've got to find just because we've been on and covering the UCLA thing. Yeah. I got to find Matt Gaetz over the last couple of days. We've criticized Matt Gaetz.
Yeah.
He's had some great moments.
Yeah.
And one was with Lloyd Austin the other day.
Yeah. It's we go back to that whole thing where, he was in my opinion abandoned his post. And Austin, and in that period, and there were a couple of things that happened, and one of them was that we went after some of Iran's proxies in Iraq. Now, we really didn't do much, apparently, but where's the president? We asked then, where's the president stepping to a podium, just making a statement? No questions. I don't expect him to take questions. Just making a statement. Sounding presidential, looking presidential. He looks like Joe Biden wandering around in whatever direction they point. He doesn't look presidential. He doesn't sound presidential. He's not acting presidential because he's not capable of it.
Let me play it since we have it here, because we're covering the UCLA thing and everything else, and at the same time want to bring up other topics. And I don't want to lose this one since we brought up Matt Gaetz. This is Secretary Lloyd Austin admits the likelihood of shooting warfare between U.S. service members and Gaza forces. Because of the pier that we're building in Gaza.
Yeah, so we said that from the beginning.
Right. That one of the things we brought up, and here's the back and forth. And Matt Gaetz does a great job. Again, this is evidence that we can criticize somebody when they say something dumb and compliment them when they do something good. we believe. But this was good. Here we go.
Ms. Locken just said there'll be about 1,000 U.S. service members operating a pier system off of Gaza. How many of them will have guns, Mr. Secretary?
Well, typically all of the deployed service members carry guns, and they have the ability to protect themselves if challenged.
So if someone from land in Gaza shoots at our service members who are on the $320 million pier that we're building, you're telling me our service members can shoot back?
They have the right to return fire to protect themselves. Now,
well, do we think that's like? So now I want to move to the likelihood that you think someone from land in Gaza might shoot at our service members on this pier. Do you think that that's a likely scenario?
That's possible, yes.
This is a very telling moment, Mr. Secretary, because you've said something that's quite possible that could happen, right? Shots from Gaza on our service members, and then the response, our armed service members shooting live fire into Gaza. That is a possible outcome here so that we can become the Port Authority and run this pier. Right?
That's correct. You know, I expect that we will always have the ability to protect ourselves.
Don't you think that counts as boots on the ground? President Biden told the country that we weren't going to have boots on the ground in Gaza.
And we won't.
Okay, but you guys parse the distinction between, like when Americans think boots on the ground, they think Americans in harm's way or engaged actively in a conflict. You guys seem to be sort of saying that boots on a pier connected to the ground, connected to service members shooting into Gaza, doesn't count as boots on the ground?
It does not.
I think you're going to find me.
Oh, by the way, to Matt Gaetz, that was the way we would have done it.
Yes.
And so what we're saying is it was genius. It's what we have been wanting the GOP to do, and they're capable of doing. We're seeing others in the party do this, and we know that they're capable of doing it. And what you just heard from Matt Gaetz in that setup was
I've got to go back to the last one because this when I saw this, and this is a couple of days old, and so I'm glad that you mentioned Lloyd Austin because I didn't want to forget to play this just because there's been so many other things going on.
Right.
But let's play it again because it's when he asked, so what you're saying is that we're not going to boots on the ground, so a pier connected to the ground.
Oh, yeah. That setup is perfect.
Where shots are being fired back and forth is not boots on the ground. That's correct.
Yeah.
Oh my
no,
God.
that's what I was. That was the way we would have phrased that question to him, and it's so great. It's so great.
One more time. Here we go.
All right.
Saying that boots on a pier connected to the ground, connected to service members shooting into Gaza, doesn't count as boots on the ground?
It does not.
Oh, man. Oh, my gosh. Perfect setup.
Oh, my God. Oh,
Perfect phrasing of that. And because this is the absurdity of this president and the absurdity of putting a pier in Gaza. They tell you it's for humanitarian efforts. All of it's going straight to Hamas. Hamas controls Gaza. Period.
Yeah, we know it.
And
that was great because it's the way to ask a question. We've said that Republicans need to find a way to effectively communicate, and you do that by answering the questions and having the best follow-up after it and getting to the heart of the matter. And that got the heart of the matter because Lloyd Austin had nowhere else to go except, no, we do not count. Think about this, because I bet you 99.9% of Americans, 80%, because that's about the most you can get. The other 20% are nuts. But you can't get the vast majority of Americans who look at that and say, so what you're saying is that American soldiers being on a pier connected to the ground where shooting is going back and forth is not boots on the ground. That's correct.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, seriously, that was great.
It's ground adjacent.
Well, what's interesting is that he got Austin to admit something we all know, and I know that Matt Gaetz knew the answer, but getting Austin to admit, oh yeah, no, there's a decent chance they're going to get fired upon. We said it from the beginning when they announced this insane idea of putting a port in Gaza, direct aid to Hamas, which is essentially is what it's going to be. And there's no way to do that without putting our members of the military in harm's way and having, and who knows what. Because here's the thing, too. I mean, all this takes planning. It's not like we're, sending the Navy SEALs in to come ashore in the middle of the night. This isn't going to be, all of this is going to be an effort with this pier project, and the enemy knows that.
Well, at least we've come up now with a new term.
Yeah.
Instead of boots on the ground, boots on the ground
pier.
Adjacent.
Yeah, exactly. Boots on the pier next to the ground. Boots on something that's touching the ground.
Boots on the pier that's connected to the ground.
Right.
Good God.
No, seriously, that's the insanity of all of this. And Austin actually said, yeah. No, that's not boots on the ground. We don't. Of course it is. But coming from a guy who was willing to abandon his post. All right.
Boots on the ground adjacent.
Yeah.
Oh my God. This is why Americans look at this administration and say, get out.
No,
just
seriously.
stop it.
Seriously.
Just stop it.
Incompetence throughout.
866-90 Red Eye.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
It's Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Let's go to Rob in Colorado about the college protest. Rod, welcome. You're on Red Eye Radio. Welcome to the show. Hi.
Hey, guys. Good morning. I retired from the LAPD in January of 92. In April of 92, I was in a helicopter over Florence and Normandy narrating what the hell was going on at the outbreak of the riots. And my question, and I repeatedly said this on the air, is where's the LAPD? Because even the rawest recruit knows that when you have a situation like this, you call for tactical alert, you block traffic, and you call for the troops to come in. And that didn't happen. What happened tonight, when the LAPD showed up and then turned around and walked away, is just an absolute professional embarrassment. I was stunned last night when it took them 2 hours to respond to crimes in progress when they were beating the snot out of each other. That's a public university. That's part of the city of Los Angeles. They don't need permission to go and enforce the law. Columbia University is a private school. NYPD would have to be invited on. That's not the case here at UCLA. This is just an absolute classic example of a deep blue city with a deep blue mayor who's controlling the actions of the police department.
Yeah.
And to make matters worse is the woke assistant chiefs and deputy chiefs and commanders on that department, because they all want to be the next chief of police. Because right now they only have an acting chief of police.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Well,
yeah.
And you know, the thing is that there should have been a game plan, but if the game plan is, all right, march in, and if they sit down in front of you, turn around and march out, I don't know why you're putting officers there in the first place if you're not going to do the job. And I'm just saying that openly with no experience. I have no idea what directives they've been given, but I do agree with you that there's no doubt. I mean, the The Democrats control the mayor's office, and of course they're going to control the police departments and how the police department and how they're going to handle things like this. And it's not going to be like it was years ago.
Well, the question is, I did not see anything. Did you mean last night? Because I haven't seen anywhere where the police have turned around tonight yet.
It was a post that they put up tonight where they did a 180. The police did a 180 and turned around.
Where's this post?
We read it on the air. Yeah,
tonight?
Police were forced to do. Yeah, you read it actually. Police were forced to do a 180, and leftist protesters cheered the successful blockade from.
Oh no!
No.
They didn't. They turned around from the entrance.
Mm-hmm.
They're still there though.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I thought they haven't left the campus. From what I know, I haven't seen that.
No.
Report.
I don't think. Right. I don't know if you said that, Rod, and I wasn't implying that they had left the campus. But the question is, why are you there? What are you doing?
Right. That would be the question I would ask. Right. Go ahead. Go ahead, Rod.
The single biggest problem that police officers face today is they're not allowed to do their job. This is a classic example where the field force commanders and the supervisors, the sergeants, the lieutenants, they know what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
The patrol officers, the police officers know exactly what they're supposed to do, and they're disciplined. You see them marching in formation. You see them giving various hand signals that the officers respond to. They know what they're supposed to do, but they have to be allowed to do their job, and they're not. Yeah. You brought up a point earlier, too, about reinforcing the encampment. What I used to tell people on the air is all use of force is ugly. I mean, anytime that you have to tackle somebody and bend their arms to get them back so you can handcuff them, it's ugly.
Yeah.
And what I would tell people is take your granddaughter, take your daughter, and say, don't let daddy put your hands behind your back. And then go ahead and see how difficult it is to try and get your child's hands behind their back.
Oh, yeah,
obviously you're not going to do something to hurt them.
Yeah, thanks, Rod. We appreciate it. Thanks for the call.
Observing and analyzing the insanity. Eric Harley and Gary McNamara. Nightly on Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Well, it seems like, and again, it's been the lack of reporting over the last hour that we have seen, even from some of the independent reporters, or there haven't been really any video that has been put forth. I checked Fox 11 in Los Angeles, stopped with their live helicopter feed from what was going on. I don't know if the LAPD police is going to wait till the morning or whatever to go in. They have, in the last couple of hours, called it an illegal encampment. And as we had suspected earlier from reporting, is there didn't seem to be a huge pro-Israel contingent of protesters there, that this was almost like that's sort of been cleared up. The reporters were saying, there are a few, but not like there was last night, which is why you're not seeing that violence. Now it's the police trying to figure out how to take down the encampment.
Right.
And thanks, Rod, who called us a former LAPD police officer. And when you allow them, though, to set up and create these barriers as they are, these wooden barriers, this puts police officers in more danger.
Well,
it makes their job harder.
Yeah, and look, there's no doubt the mayor, the police chief, they're all trying to work with UCLA and administrators there to, make this thing go away. And as Rod points out, it looks ugly. You start taking, kids and putting these protesters, putting their hands behind their back and arresting them and the whole thing, and they start fighting back. You know, they've who was it that I think it was Kabasa? It may have been someone else that posted some of the messages going back and forth from the organizers, the protesters, the pro-Hamas protesters earlier, and, you know, talking about how, you know, hold the line, the whole thing. So the whole point is to resist, of course, and they've got, as Chris Christie from ABC7 there has posted, this was a couple hours ago, the pictures of the buses that are lined up. But now it's got to be, all right, how you want to handle this. And my question would be, all right, you put the officers in, they're in formation, they start marching in, the kids have a sit-down protest and line up, sit down in front of them, and then they turn around and walk out. I mean, then what's the protocol? What's the directive given? What are they looking to do? Are they going to, in the morning, say, all right, look, we'll give you one more chance? We've seen this before. We'll give you one more day. You've got 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, to clean out. I don't know. Because you're going to have to do something hard eventually. And it's going to get harder and harder the longer you wait.
Right.
So,
and more dangerous.
Yep. They've got all these resources there. So what's the plan? I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if they thought, okay, look, there's really not a clash going on right now. We wait till daylight. In fact, the organizers of the events on one of their, it was Cam Higbee, who posted one of the, I don't know how he's getting these messages from the UCLA Palestine Solidarity Encampment, the organizers, the pro-Hamas organizers. And it reads, maybe some time yet. This goes back a few hours. Maybe some time yet. Rest up if you can. The cops want to strike when we're tired. Keep up your stamina. They might be waiting until, right now it's 12:39. They may wait until 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning when all the protesters are, think that it's over for the night. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know. It boggles the mind. I mean, when it took so long, as Rod pointed out, for them to get there yesterday, all right, we chalk that up to, all right, you got to get the resources, the manpower, and then you've got to dispatch everybody to the site. You got multiple agencies working here. Okay, that's going to take a minute. But what's the plan here? And do they feel like, we don't need to do anything right away? The longer you give the protesters, the harder it's going to be to remove them.
I was reading here from the Federalist Molly Hemingway, who was on special report yesterday on Fox News, and she said, these protests, whether they devolve into violence and occupation or whether they remain peaceful, are largely built on lies about Israel and its conflict with the Palestinian territories. Just as we saw 4 years ago, the dangerous and deadly riots that took over much of the country were based largely on lies about America and its history and what it's like to be in America today. And so a lot of people are rejecting this latest incarnation of this Marxist ideology, but they really need to reject the entire thing. President Biden is in a tough spot because his party, largely with the rise of his predecessor, President Obama, really changed the party into focusing on accusations of racism and defining people as oppressed or oppressor and using that for political gain. Sounds familiar. So President Biden is in a very tough situation. Does he renounce his natural this national result of what this party has really wrought, or does he try to stay silent and not get too involved? And that's what he's trying to do now. I know Kamala Harris speaking yesterday. By the way, did you see the whole Mamala thing? We never talked about this because you were out. The whole Drew Barrymore thing.
Yeah.
You know, the interesting thing is, even the Fox News story yesterday, they were spelling it two ways. It was Mamala, M-A-M-E-L-A, and then Momala, M-O-N-E-L-A. And because when she said it, I go, what does that mean? And so the initial spellings of the articles, and even a day later in Fox yesterday, I was looking at it, I go, oh my gosh, they spell it differently twice in the article. Well, the reference that eventually came out was supposed to be spelled Mamala, Kamala, Mamala, that's what her stepkids call her, Mamala.
Okay.
So because it rhymes with Kamala.
Yeah.
But at first it came out Mamala, M-A-M-E-L-A. And I'm like, what does that mean?
Right.
So I look it up, and it's like wait. Mamala means wait. I'm like, well, that doesn't make sense. And then it got really icky and when I said Mamala. The other definition, breast. So is Drew Barrymore saying that Kamala Harris is America's breast? I'm like, I don't want to hear this. And then I finally saw the correction that it's mom, M-O-M-E-L-A. So it's like Kamala Mamala.
Yeah.
Like,
right.
Oh, now I get it.
Yeah.
And this was because the day before, who was it? Oh, no, not the day before. It was Howard Stern basically saying, you know, just like Chris Rock, that Biden is like the daddy. So Drew Barrymore was trying to tag on that, well, then Biden's the daddy and Kamala is the mommy. So we have a daddy and a mommy now. Howard Stern, my God, how has he become just the biggest kiss ass on the planet?
Yeah, no, there's no doubt.
There's no. What happened to this trailblazer disc jockey who had sexual innuendos that made him famous? He's a great interviewer. He can be a really good interviewer.
Cutting edge, is he? No.
But no, cutting edge. No, I mean it's like, oh my God, just.
Yeah.
But, you know, you're like the daddy. You're like the dad of the...
Well, remember, was it Chris Rock said that about the Obamas, but it wasn't... he didn't say that Joe Biden was the mom. He said, of course, then First Lady, that Michelle Obama was the mom.
Well,
they're like our parents. I have parents.
Who said Biden was like the mom?
No, I was saying he didn't say that. In this case, they're saying... Biden and his VP, she would be the mom.
Right.
Well, when Chris Rock said it, it was the first lady would be the mom.
Oh, okay, yes.
Not the vice president, because that would be weird because Joe Biden was vice president, so he clearly wouldn't make a great mom or president.
Oh, right.
Yeah,
so it was the president and the first lady.
And when Chris Rock said it, we tore it apart. And it's like, no, that's not, first of all, you're clueless. They're like our mom. Our mom and dad, they're like our parents. No, they're not. No, they're not. And then the left calls Trump authoritarian. Who's more authoritarian in your life than your parents?
I know, that's the best part. But seriously, there's a sickness in these people where they're looking for a mother and a father figure for president and vice president of the United States. I don't need another mother or a father.
Right. I mean, they just really, honestly,
it's
want
childish.
to worship at the feet of these people.
Yeah, it's childish.
It's bizarre. And I can't wrap my head around it.
And the Drew Barrymore thing was really creepy. It was really close going. And you're the mamala. And then all the clones in the audience,
yeah.
Like, oh my God, you bunch of children.
Yeah.
We need to be led around. We don't know how to run our own life. We don't want to run our own life. Please, tell me what to do. Tell me what to think. Tell me what to eat. Tell me what to drive.
Mom?
Would you be my mom? Mamala. Be my mommy. I need a mommy and daddy. I'm an adult. I'm an adult in my 50s, and I need a mommy and daddy.
I'll tell you right now, I think that I think that Drew Barrymore probably needs somebody of authority to give her a little direction. Seriously. She seems like a sweet person, but what the hell, dude?
Well, Stern, the same thing.
Yeah.
Was he 70 now or 60? He's got to be around.
I think he's 94. I could be wrong.
I'm a radical.
Yeah.
I'm a maverick. I'm a radical. Will you be my daddy?
Mm-hmm.
Will you please be my daddy? I'm Howard Stern. Please be my daddy, Mr. President. I need a daddy because I stayed in the house because I was so scared of COVID. I was afraid to go out to dinner. But I'm a radical disc jockey who was a trailblazer.
Yeah. Cutting edge.
Cutting edge.
As long as I don't have to go outside to be cutting edge.
Jeez, these people, my God. What children? Please, I need a mommy and a daddy.
This is how they win elections, right here. This is how they win elections. People aren't capable of thinking for themselves.
I know, my God. 866-90 Red Eye.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Really nothing to update. It's been a couple of hours, really, since any of the reporters that we've been following have posted anything from UCLA. I'm looking at, Fox News, the last thing they have. 2 hours ago, California Highway Patrol at UCLA encampment with zip ties, crowd control gear. We know from some of the reporting that they attempted to approach one of the entrances to the encampment, and the students sat down, and the police just turned around and walked away. Mm-hmm. We know they're still there on the campus, but we have heard nothing. As I mentioned, the Fox 11 that we've been following in L.A., dropped their live feed, and there's been no updates at all from any major media or even any of the independent reporters on the ground, which is just strange. You would think somebody would report, just say, hey, nothing's happening here. It looks like it's a stand down for the night.
Yep.
So
there at UCLA, they announced several hours ago that there's not going to be. It's all remote classes on Thursday and Friday. I don't know how long they'll carry that out. Again, the longer you let them stay, the harder it's going to be. And we haven't seen any movement. I'm following LAPD, and there hasn't been anything posted in recent hours about what's going to be done next or anything like that. So we don't know.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America and around the planet, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Thank you for being here. An update from UCLA just in a minute ago. Anthony Cabasa, who is there, and we've been following the videos he has been taking. He said it's 1 a.m., and this isn't, he didn't report for over an hour, and it seemed like everything was at a standstill. Like, we're like, what's going on? We haven't heard anything. Everything was a couple of hours old. He writes, it's 1 a.m. and it's looking like police have given the order to move forward with the disassembly of the encampment. Hundreds of protesters are still present, and they boo the police as they begin moving in.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
That's what we have at the moment there.
Well, and, man, I'm looking in this video, and just what we can see from the video, it makes you wonder, okay, how much manpower? We know that multiple agencies are on site here, but LAPD seems to be taking the lead here. You see, I mean, it's a sizable. There's a lot of people here,
and it looks like the camera is behind the lines of the pro-terrorist movement, and looking out at the police that seem to be moving closer, but it's not a fast approach to the barriers.
Right. Yeah.
It seems like they're more reinforcing the line that they have there at the moment.
Right.
But why would they be doing that unless they plan on moving forward?
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, now that may not be the case because now I see them walking in a different direction. So I don't know.
Well, they're coming out of one of the buildings here, and it appears they're escorting. It looks like, I don't know, faculty members or administrative.
Yeah, that's what it looked like. I thought they were joining the lines. I thought they were reinforcing the lines, and then it looks like they're escorting some people out of that building.
So this could be staffers. They don't appear to be protesters, but I can't tell you if that's the case or not. They're not resisting. They're walking with the police, and they don't appear to be detained, just escorted here. And it's a handful of individuals. They appear to be administrative folks. So, but we'll see. I mean, my gosh, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a minute for this to happen. And I guess the first thing you have to do is escort any of those administrative staff off the campus first, get them to safety, and then, because you're going to expect the clash, you're going to expect this to potentially get violent again.
You know, when you look at this, I'm reading here because this was, I guess there's humor in everything that you saw it. Biden finally uniting America yesterday as the University of Alabama, both sides chanting F Joe Biden.
Yeah. Well, we've been saying since the beginning, and it's on a number of fronts, but certainly it applies here. You're not going to appease the radicals. You're not going to win. You're not going to win this. And they're not going to vote for you, most of them. It's just nonsense. It's insanity. Over and over again, we watch this stuff play out. And man, you talk about it. Look, the political incompetence. I've said repeatedly, Biden's not competent of being the president. He never once in his life had to govern until January 20th of 2021. Never. Not as vice president, never as a senator. He never had to govern. And now we know he's fully incapable of governing. But talk about being at least politically competent. Knowing what the play is, seeing what the numbers are, what favors you. And again, I think you should do the right thing. I think you should do the things that are necessary to keep a free country safe. But, that's just me. But politically speaking, he has absolutely zero competence. I mean, he just doesn't know where to go.
We're talking about it, and I started talking about it and you weren't here Monday and Tuesday. And I started saying that, and I used the date of April 30th. I said, okay, this is the date that I think that my gut tells me that people are no longer associating just Trump as a single entity outside of the issues. That now they're looking at Trump and saying, Well, okay, but he was for these things that worked during his time, which I think is a major, major danger point for the Democrats.
Yeah.
Because when you see that 57% of Americans believe that the prosecutions against Trump are political and 43% do not, to have that 14 percentage point shift is mind-boggling. It really is when you see that there. And so when the Democrats scream that democracy is going to end or freedom of the press is going to, they already look at this and they believe that the lawfare already is the country falling apart.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And when you see that nearly 7 in 10 think that America is now out of control, and only 16% of Americans believe things are under control in this country, that's a huge problem for any, that's a huge problem for any president out there. There was a, I forgot who wrote it. Was it? Oh, I saw a little while ago. I read it to you. It was some analyst, and I'd watched part of Trump's speech last night, just a few minutes, and went, he seems really pretty under control, like he's focusing on the issues. And that was the thing that that the analysis of Trump's speech last night, it was all on the issues. It did not veer out to anything else. It hit Biden, the economy, as it written. It hit Biden, the bad economy, the economy, inflation. Said it was extremely disciplined, an extremely disciplined speech that he had last night. Now, if that's the case, we'll just say they finally listened to us. No, but we've always stated that's what you do to win. All you have to do is say this country's out of control and look at all these particular issues where Biden is. And I also think the Republicans should, and I know we repeat it every day. I hope you will tolerate us saying it every single day, because it's very important that Republicans get the message that they need to not just promote and stick to the issues, which is key, but they have to sit there and they have to stand there and say, look, the Democrats and the Biden administration, the Democrats and Biden cannot and will not solve the problems we face today because they caused the problems.
Yep.
They caused it, and it was calculated and premeditated, and they wanted it to lead to the suffering you had today because this is what they want.
Yep.
But when you look at it, and I think it was Peggy Noonan early on in the Biden presidency was saying when everything is out of control, that seems bad. Well, you look at it, the border, out of control, right?
Yep.
The border out of control.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
What's happening on the campuses? Out of control. The anti-Semitism. We have seen racism, anti-Semitism, and misogyny promoted by a political party like we haven't seen since the Democrats were promoting Jim Crow. Seriously, you haven't.
Right.
And so you put all those things together, and the poll out there, nearly 7 in 10 think that America is now out of control under Joe Biden. Out of control. Not that we have some problems we can't solve. So you look at inflation, you look at the border, and it keeps going back and forth. I had like 2 different articles today, 2 different polls. Voters say the biggest problem now is the border. People say the biggest problem we face is the economy. But you take that and you add something like this, which is pure. That's why the polls show Americans are 80% in favor of Israel.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they look at this and it's like, this is out of control at our college campuses. Everything's falling apart. And then Biden comes out and Biden is promoting now, we need to make sure we forgive all student loans. Republicans go, for this? You want us to forgive college loans for this?
Right.
This is what you're teaching them, and you want us to pay for it? Go to hell. We're not paying for it.
Yeah.
We're not paying for this. These are revolutionaries. These are racist, anti-American, anti-Semitic, pro-terrorist, pro-our enemies, college students and others. And do not give these I don't want to hear this. Well, you had the organizers in and the poor college students. all of the representatives and the spokespeople that I've seen are college students.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they're being manipulated by anyone.
No.
And so I think when you see everything out of control like this, and then Biden won't speak on it, and the mainstream media is asking the question, he won't speak on the protesters. And no president has spoken loudly enough on, as loud as he has on anti-Semitism. That wasn't the question.
Nope.
We're talking about if the fact that he is truly against all this anti-Semitic action, why hasn't he come to the podium and talked about this for 10 days now? And they can't answer. She can't answer the question. It is so, and that's because inside the White House, they are so racist, so anti-Semitic that the president, they will not allow the president to go out there and say anything.
No, they won't. There's a couple of things here. They know that they're going to be caught in their radical corner. And also, they know they can't trust him in front of the media.
Yep.
His radical positions are just as much of a liability as his inability to issue and convey a coherent thought. And when you see these numbers, when people say the country's out of control, you're right. You and I have been doing this a long time. These things of, do you think it's going in the right direction or the wrong direction? I mean, I don't know who you're talking to. You're talking to who's the respondent to the poll? If it's a Marxist, you got to qualify the respondents.
Right.
But in this case, when they say out of control, that's not the old, I think it's going in the wrong direction mostly. And this is out of control. And that's, and to get that many, to get those numbers to say that, then there is something fundamentally wrong. And everybody knows it.
Yeah.
It's where we are. Look, I don't know what's going to happen November 5th. I really don't. But if the Democrats come out of this virtually unscathed, God help us.
Well, they know, the polls show. I mean, the Israel poll, 80% of Americans, support Israel.
Yeah.
The poll we read the other day.
Right.
That's the majority of Democrats.
Right.
And when you look at the amount of Democrats that don't want Biden to run, that's why we can safely say when we make these points, every Democrat knows that what we're saying is the truth.
Yep.
And how do we know that? Well, the polls show
see the
us.
numbers.
Yeah, they don't want Biden to run. They know where his weaknesses are. The media claims, that for example, Trump manipulates and brainwashes his vote. His voters know. There isn't one Trump supporter. I have met Trump supporters that you would meet them, and you would think it was blind loyalty by their initial response when you talk to them. And then you talk deeper, they know his flaws. They know Trump's flaws.
Yep.
They also know his strengths, but they're not stupid. They understand it. And the Democratic voter does not go along with these radical positions that their party has now mainstreamed, which include identity politics, the misogyny of the radical transgender movement. That's why we can safely say every Democrat knows that the policies of the Democratic Party that they vote for are insane. You don't think the Democratic vote? You think the Democratic voter? I'm not talking about the radical, but the average Democrat voter who's working a job and has a family, that they don't recognize that the whole EV situation is ridiculous? You don't think they understand that Biden coming out and saying that we can run the grid on solar and wind?
Wow.
That they don't know that that's the biggest idiotic statement made on electricity production, probably ever in the United States? They know it. They know it. And so when do they start peeling off? When do they say, something, don't like Trump, but, he's pretty moderate on the issues? And I really do think that part of the reason the libertarians want, unless they're trying to set Trump up, unless they're trying to say, okay, we're going to get Trump in here and we're going to boo him when he comes in. But I suspect it's more of what you see with DeSantis, the unity now of everyone out there who's not a Democrat looking at the Democratic Party and saying they're out of control. This is evil. This is immoral. This is racist. This is misogynist. This is pro-genocide. This is pro-terrorism. These people have to be stopped. I tend to think it's probably more of that right now.
Yeah.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller, and I'm here to share a tip on roadside inspections. At a roadside inspection, inspectors may ask to see supporting documents. A supporting document is a document generated or received by a motor carrier in the normal course of business that can be used by law enforcement to verify a driver's logs. These documents can include bills of lading, itineraries, schedules, or equivalent documents that indicate the origin and destination of each trip. They can also include dispatch or trip records, expense receipts related to on-duty/not driving periods, including receipts for meals, lodging, and fuel, electronic mobile communication transmitted through a fleet management system, and payroll records, settlement sheets, or equivalent documents that indicate payment to a driver. Drivers using paper logs must also keep toll receipts. Supporting documents must contain the driver's name, carrier-assigned identification number or vehicle unit number that can be linked to the driver, the date, the name of the nearest city, town, or village, and the time. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller & Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Yeah, we told you about the poll. Let me give you the minutia of the poll. Vast majority of respondents in a YouGov Economist poll believe that President Biden's America is out of control. The poll published on Wednesday asked 1,755 Americans whether they felt things in this country these days were under control or out of control. An overwhelming majority, 68%, believe they are out of control. 16% think that things are under control. When it comes to widespread anti-Israel protest consuming college campuses as the economy is still reeling from 40-year high inflation and the illegal immigration crisis persists at the U.S. southern border, the survey found that more Democrats believe things are out of control, 48%, than under control, 38%. 5% of Democrats went, I don't know.
Wow.
70% of independents believe the country is out of control, as do nearly 90% of Republicans.
Wow.
Wow. That number for Democrats is huge.
That is.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And he is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you want. Well, both Fox News and Bill Maloogian, who's from Fox News, flashbang went off at UCLA camp. Police breach appears to be beginning, and now the flashbang as police move in. I did see some fights are happening apparently now at UCLA, as just been reported. I'm trying to scan other things here. I don't have an update from Anthony Cabasa and Cam Higbee. Let me just quickly check and see what he has. Nothing updated from him either. But Bill Maloogian from Fox News, and I don't know if Bill Maloogian from Fox LA is the one that's relaying the information to Fox News, but both are reporting the same thing. Their lead headline: riot police issue stark warning to rioters, vowing it's about to go down. So, and again, with the flash bang, that is the report right now. I'm just very quickly trying to get back to see if Fox 11 has their streaming up and whether we can see anything coming from the No, they do not have it up. They do not have the live stream. They had helicopters up before looking at it. So, and I don't know what the video I'm looking at now is taped or live. So that I don't know at the moment. But we were wondering why things went quiet for a while. And apparently now the police are moving in. I'm just checking the latest update. Now the latest update they still have. They've got the update with just a sentence of what's going on, but there really has been no update from Fox News for hours.
Right.
Except for that update.
And I don't see anybody with video from that demonstrating what Bill Maloogian just said, so we don't know exactly, what it looks like there, and with multiple agencies on the campus right now, law enforcement agencies on the campus right now, and a number of buses. I don't know how many buses there were, but it's a number of large buses that are there. They were clearly equipped to start this tonight or this morning, and now it appears that it is going to begin.
Anthony Cabas's feed just a minute ago from UCLA. Loud bang heard from within encampment, and report of police making their way in now. Protesters on this opposite side boo police and began shaking the barrier wall. So I can't tell because he's not taking a video. It's just it's
still shot.
Still shot, and I can't tell anything by the still shot at all.
No.
I can't get any perspective on it.
No. Earlier, they appeared to be escorting some people, the police, LAPD, escorting some people out of one of the buildings. We don't know if those were staffers. We just assume it was. And that's, of course, what you would do. Get them to safety off campus, get them out of the way before you start this. And now it appears that's what's going on. I just don't know where that's going to, again, because you're not going to get much cooperation from the protesters. So there's going to be inevitably a clash here, and the police are prepared for that. You got multiple agencies again, including the California Highway Patrol that's been on the campus for over 24 hours now, on and off. We don't know exactly how many in terms of the manpower, what the numbers are, but it is a pretty great number of law enforcement officials there at UCLA campus. And hopefully we'll get some video out from one of the reporters that's there that will give us some, that will demonstrate more as to what's going on. I mean, they just simply don't know what's going on. Anthony Cabas has been doing, my gosh, I don't even know if he went home and slept. But he's been on the ground there reporting from UCLA for well over 24 hours. He may have taken a break during the day. I didn't see that, but it's just been constant reporting.
And that's
kudos to him.
And again, that's what Fox is reporting now. The flashbang heard as police move in on anti-Israel encampment. That's the headline. We have not seen video itself that has shown us that, but we're just telling you what Fox is reporting. Also mentioned that yesterday Trump gave a speech in Wisconsin, and what's coming out from that speech is that he was very, very on topic. He kept to the issues.
Right.
One of the issues that he talked about was, again, what's going on the college campuses and how quickly they cleared it in New York yesterday.
And, you saw it last night. That's one good thing that really happened. You saw it last night because New York was under siege last night. And these people, first they were intense, and the person that heads up Columbia University was a great school. It's been, badly damaged, I think, reputationally. But the person that heads it up, a woman, she waited so long. She was so weak. She was so afraid. She was so bad. They could have done this with the tents, and it would have gone quickly and no problem. But they did an incredible job. They went into one of the big buildings, a beautiful landmark building. Boy, they got the hell beat out of it last night. You're supposed to take care of those buildings. It took a beating. But the police came in exactly 2 hours, everything was over. It was a beautiful thing to watch. New York's finest. You saw them go up in ladders. You saw them go up in ladders to break in the windows and getting in, and that's dangerous because you don't know what's on the other side of that window. And they went in, they knocked it out, and they were incredible. They did a great job. New York's finest. And, it's like that throughout the country. Chicago, great police. L.A., great police. I know so many of them. I know so many of the top people and the middle people. I see them all over. They're great, and they can do the job. But we have to give them their power back.
So there you go. From what I get from that speech, just analysis I've read on it, he was on topic and kept to the issues, and his tone was that's right there. That's very good Trump. That's in control Trump.
It's interesting that, so going back to 2016, something you said throughout that election season, you said Trump is acknowledging what the problems are, and that's how he's connecting with people, and ultimately that turned out to be the case, and he won in 2016. And we've been saying for years, if the GOP, you just point to the problems, you stay on the issues, and we said about with Trump that if when he focuses on the issues and says, here's what we're going to fix. And you can look in any direction and find big, huge things that need to be fixed. And you're going to get people's attention. And it appears that's what he did in that speech. Keep that up.
Just looking for any more. Reports from the Blaze reporter that anti-Israel protesters. Okay, I can see I can see the line right there.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying the LAPD now inside the encampment. I don't see any photo or even the video that shows me that they're inside it. It shows me that they're right at the border of it where the students have their barricade.
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah, that's from Julio Rosas from the Blaze, and so we now have multiple people that are there reporting that the police are definitely moving in.
Oh, they're definitely moving in because this is the closest that I've seen them, but I don't see them inside the encampment yet. That I don't see, even in the video. I don't see that at the moment. The video's pretty dark though. That has come out from from them, but police definitely are making a move. We know that. And again, a loud bang heard about 10 minutes ago, and then the reports coming in from Fox and the independent reporters and the Blaze and whatever that the police are moving in at this point. As Anthony Cabasa put out a few moments or 8 minutes ago, loud bang heard from within encampment and report of police making their way in now. Protesters on this opposite side boo police and have begun shaking the barrier wall. So I guess are there two lines? Because they said the opposite side and began shaking the barrier wall from the opposite side. So are there two sides that have the pro-terrorist protesters now
maybe
with
so.
barricades?
Maybe they put barricades on each side of that because it's a sizable encampment. So maybe, yeah, that could be the case.
Now, we'll say this: unlike last night, with their, you're not seeing the fighting between pro-terrorist and anti-terrorist protesters.
No, you're not. You're not.
You have not seen that tonight.
You have not seen big clashes tonight like you saw last night. It was
right
up to this point. You haven't, but it now it's about the police moving in. There's going to be directives given, and obviously, many, if not most, of the protesters are going to ignore those directives, and there's going to be a clash between police and the pro-Hamas protesters. So
and as I had said earlier, there seemed to be a few pro-Israel, pro-anti, or as we call them, anti-terrorism activists there, but they said it was not as large at all.
Small group,
right? A small group,
how they described it,
and it's nothing has been like last night. Now it may get there between the pro-terrorist protesters and the police. We don't know that as of yet, but we'll continue to monitor all the news sources that we have here to see if there's been a change. We know there has been a change because police are approaching the barricades.
Yeah,
so that we do know.
Right.
866-90-RED-EYE.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
It's Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Just reading this headline from Fox 11 in Los Angeles from a few moments ago. UCLA protest, police in riot gear moving into pro-Palestinian encampment. So that is the latest. LA police appears to be taking a all-hands-on-deck approach. You had mentioned earlier, we had mentioned the number of support vehicles that are there, and the number of buses that if they arrest people, they will take them to jail in those actual buses that have been stationed there. And so we are I'm just looking to see if there's anything updated here. This is interesting here because they had some, and this is a solid point. The Federated University Police Officers Association, a union representing campus police, insinuated that the university was to blame for Tuesday's unrest. Below was a statement. The decisions regarding the response of the UC police rest firmly in the hands of campus leadership. They shoulder the accountability for the outcomes stemming from those decisions, not the UC Police Department. Wow.
Yeah.
And that's how did it get to the point yesterday? And it's like, don't blame the UC police. They're following the orders that they get from their bosses.
From leadership, yeah.
From leadership.
And that's the way it works.
And reading, and we'll have more of this coming up on the top of the hour, reading from Fox, and they talked about how you could hear last night. And this is the one thing we talked about, how dangerous now this is getting for the police, that we have seen the police move in quickly at the University of Texas at Austin, University of Texas in Dallas had a protest yesterday. They moved in very quickly.
Yep.
You couldn't set up a tent. You started setting up a tent. It was taken down. The police were there, and they got out. But
nip it in the bud.
The Fox story that we'll have more of it coming up following the top of the hour. You could hear the drills as they're actually making wood barricades, and it's like, how do you get drills in? How do you get this all the wood planks in? Who is allowing this to happen? Because now you're making this job of the police much more dangerous than it ever had to be.
It's again, the longer you wait, the more you give them, the more they're going to take. And now you've got a very dangerous situation on your hands. And UCLA leadership should have said, nope. From the beginning, we're not going to tolerate this. Not going to happen. And now here we are. And it's a pretty large number on both sides, the protesters that are there, and countless law enforcement agencies and officers that are there moving in as we speak.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.